Before we begin, the name is placed on the top right side of the screen. The story begins as a man asks Riard Elhain to raise her head. It's raining heavily as the man tells her that unlike her twin brother Ryan, everyone was puzzled why she could not awaken the power of water until she turned 20. But they found the answer in ancient texts. He asks her if that isn't fortunate. Ryan's incomplete water power will become perfect with her death. He asks her to not be sad, stating that the entire house of Elhain will forever remember her sacrifice. The only non-awakened member of the Elhain family is Riard Elhain. She's a disgrace and object of contempt. No matter how hard she tried, no one loved her. The man commands to begin the execution. They begin it as she ponders that she tried so hard to be loved. But it was all in vain. She wonders if she has another life. Just then the man and Ryan has an astonished look on their faces, as it turns out that she is awakening the power of water now. Everyone is shocked as the man questions what is going on. She thinks that if she has another life, then she will surely abandon them. Her eyes are closed as someone asks her to open them. She opens them and finds someone extending his hand towards her, asking her please. That is the moment she gasps and opens her eyes. It was a dream, and she thinks, where is she? She is aware that this room was burned down on the morning of the execution. This causes her to think if she's dreaming. She cannot help but wonder why she is unharmed. Right then her brother appears and asks her how is she feeling. She questions what is he doing here. He asks her what does she mean by asking what is he doing here, causing her to be startled. He tells her that of course he came to check up on her. He grabs her wrist and tells her that so that she knows because of her his schedule got completely messed up. He glares down at her and tells her she is such a nuisance. She seems a bit taken aback as she questions what. She notices his expression and those words, realizing that she remembers them. She remembers that 3 years ago, she jumped in to protect Ryan from an assassin. She got poisoned and collapsed for a while, causing all of Ryan's plan to come to a halt. She's aware that it is exactly the same as that day. She wonders if she has really gone back in time. She thinks if that is the case before she questions if he called her a nuisance. She takes her hand back and tells him that it goes the same for him. She asks him to not worry as she will never do anything so pointless again. He is shocked as he questions what does she mean by that. Right then someone steps in and asks Ryan to come out quickly. It is Ain as Ryan asks him what is going on. He responds that father has summoned the water awakeners and the spirit stone suddenly started to shine. He tells Ryan that he needs to go to check on the spirit stone. Ryan steps away, stating that they should talk while he go. Before they leave, Ain glares at Riard. She stares back before she thinks that the moment the execution was carried out, the spirit stone shattered into pieces. She felt some kind of energy being absorbed into her body. She thinks maybe she has awakened the power of water. She decides to give it a try if that is the case. She realizes that it worked. She wonders if this is a blessing or a curse, being aware that she cannot tell. But one thing is certain, that this time she will abandon the house of Elhain. She is determined as she thinks she will definitely do it. Someone asks the young master how is his eyes. He responds that he still cannot see anything. The man states that 2 days ago, during the assassination attempt, Elhain is convinced that Birch is behind it. He questions if they should try to lift the curse on him. He responds that he does not know that either. But the only one who can lift this curse are the water awakeners, so there's no choice. If they don't help it, they should at least gather some information on Elhain. He also tells the young master that it seems the imperial family had sent another gift. The young man still states that after the girls, they send another gift and they should return it twofold. He is asked what if there is someone who can lift the curse. He responds that he will give them whatever they want. He states that the enemy must be killed and grudges must be settled completely. He uses his power as the assassins outside gets unwell. He states that's the creed of Birch and takes off the cloth from his eyes. As he reaches the house of Elhain, he is questions what brought him here. He responds that he has a request to make to Elhain. He mentions that if his visit is unwelcome, then he can tell him to leave now. He also shows an official letter of visitation. The letter of visitation is a formal protocol indicating that the visiting party will not harm the host family. It is drafted by the intemperate and the imperial family, and those who visit with it cannot be turned away lightly. This dude thinks that he is deceiving him. They must ask them why is he having such a strange expression. His writes and states, it is as if he's afraid of the power of the Birch family. His duke asks him to tell him what he wants. He mentions that his eyes has gone completely blind, that even the saint could not heal this curse. So if there is a water awakener who can break their curse, he would like to ask for their help. He is told that it must be quite inconvenient. But if it is a curse that's severe, the person lifting it might lose their life. So it is a heavy burden. So it is better to leave it to their choice rather than forcing them. He asks him to wait for a volunteer to appear within a month. He responds all right and agrees to wait for a volunteer for a month. He leaves as he is asked if Elhain said that they would lift the curse. He responds that they did not, just as he had expected. From the beginning he doubted if there would be an awakener capable of breaking this curse. He gets in the carriage as Riart stares at him from her window. It is already nighttime. A knight wonders that no matter how one looks at it, there is not even an ant inside. Not only are there no volunteers, but even the servants are locked away. He asks the young master if he is planning to stay here. They say that the Duke of Elhain has gathered the Water Awakeners, and questions if they should go and check. He thinks about it for a while before mentioning that it is a convenient excuse, finding it fortunate. Does Walter to go gather information on the Tube of Elhain? Walter responds that his royal Walter is at his service. The young master thinks about it and wonders if his eyesight will never return. He finds it troublesome and thinks that he can still use his abilities, but without sight, fine control is impossible. In the worst case, he might not be able to use his abilities at all. He suddenly hears something and wonders if there's an intruder. He states that he cannot stand uninvited guests at night as he stands up. He asks who is she, that she tells him that she is not an assassin, and she is definitely not a water awareness, and by the Duke of Elhain. He suddenly becomes astonished as he realizes this scent is not the fishy smell of Elhain's water. It is a refreshing fragrance. He cannot see what he can definitely sense it. He asks her why has she come to him. She calls out to him and tells him it is because she can help him with his curse. He questions what does she mean by help. She grabs his hand and questions if she eliminates the curse and restores his sight, what will he give to her? He remains silent for a while before he smirks and tells her everything. He kisses her hand. He repeats that he will give her everything. She tells him that first she would like to see the state of the curse. He tells her to do whatever she wants as he sits down, stating that there is no reason for him not to cooperate with someone who says that she can lift the curse. She tells him that she will then take off his blindfold. She tries taking it off before she states that the knot of the blindfold is tied tightly. He tells her that the escort knight tied it up so it would not come loose. He thinks that in fact he could have done it himself, but he does not really want to say it. Since he cannot say, he can feel the touch of her soft hand. He is even more sensitive right now, and it keeps stimulating his sense of smell. He can smell the scent of water from her. She takes it off as she looks at his eyes. She notices the curse and becomes astonished. She tells him that this is a black magic. It is a little different from a typical curse as it is surrounded by 7 veils, which becomes more severe as time passes. He asks her how does someone from Elhain know that. He questions if Duke of Elhain has an aversion to ancient dark magic. She tells him that she just happened to know. At the time when she could not give up the hope of being loved by them, she read forbidden books to help others without the power of water. She tells him that if he does not take action sooner then he could really lose his eyesight. She tells him that first she will release the seal at the top. She begins to work on it and uses her powers. She thinks that even though this is her first time using the power of water, it is moving according to her will. She thinks that this is her real ability. He wonders that this is such a powerful force flowing into the body. Or was there a water awakener this strong in Elheim? He wonders who on earth is she. She informs him that it is done before he states that his eyes feel a little better. She tells him that if she releases all layers at once, it would be hard on his body, so she will release the remaining 7 layers, 1 layer per day. She tells him that she will see him tomorrow. She begins to walk out before he tells her that he will wait for her. She becomes astonished as he tells her that he is not aware of her name, but he will see her tomorrow. He looks at the blindfold and thinks that he is thirsty. Meanwhile, in her past life, half of the territory of Elheim family was lost in war. The Duke of Elheim was cornered and confessed to her. He said that because they ignored and mocked his curse in the past. That is why the young master wants revenge on them. And with her that they could complete the ritual with Ryan and awaken the Spirit Stone. Then they can fight against him. However, the true owner of the Energy Stone, her, and not Ryan, stepped in the room as she thinks that if the Duke knows this, he will never let her go. According to imperial law, minor nobles born into an awakened family are forced to belong to their family until they reach adulthood. After becoming an adult, they are free to choose their own residence, and she has to just hide this secret until she becomes an adult. She asks Ryan what is the matter. He responds that he came here to check if there are still any after effects from the poison and asks her how is her physical condition. She asks him why he is curious about that. He is shocked as he ponders that the after effects of the poison would have disappeared. So why does she keep acting like this? He tells her because her condition is important to him. She responds that she can guess that because he cannot use his abilities properly without her. He tells her that for the time being she can move around freely during the day. She must have been frustrated to stay in her room when she was not feeling well and states that is all for now. As he goes outside, he is aware that she has also changed as before, and after she jumped in front of him and stopped the assassin. He wonders what kind of change of heart occurred between that time. She always watched his facial expressions and tried to please him. He grits in frustration. Ain calls out to him and tells him that the light of the Energy Stone has become stronger than yesterday. They go to observe that. Ryan questions since when has it been like this. He is told that from what he heard, it has been like this since yesterday. He tries to touch it, and upon dress that he cannot feel anything. He wonders if it is right for the Spirit Stone to react to him. The nighttime appears as she goes to him. He greets her as he greets him back and calls him by his name Michael Verch. He questions if it is not too formal to call him by his last name. She asks him if she should then call him Lord Verch. He tells her that he would prefer that she calls him by his first name. He touches her face before she tells him. All right. He ponders that she does not even blink at most flirtations. He wonders if he should say that she's cold or smart. She asks him how are his eyes. He tells her that until yesterday, they hurt with a lightweight. She tells him that is a relief and states that today they will lift another layer of the curse. She begins to work on it as he trembles. She holds his hand and tells him to not worry and trust her. She will make sure to restore his eyes, causing him to be astonished. He ponders that her frail, soft hand is so small that it fits lightly in his embrace. Yet he is the one trying to comfort him. He was never anxious in the first place, but he finds it amusing. He thinks, who would have thought that someone like him would hear such words? He tells her all right. He will trust her as she is the first person to even capture his interest like this. She begins to use her powers. She's done. She tells him that it is over and asks him how is he feeling, questioning if it hurts. He tells her that he guesses it is all thanks to her care, and wonders that even if he were to experience it again, it feels like a strong power. But what captivates his interest is not just her ability. She tells him that she was worried he might be hurt, but she is glad that he is okay. He thinks that treating the infamous Vich as if they were a vulnerable little one needing protection. He finds it endearing. He really wishes to see her with his own eyes. He wonders what expression she's wearing right now. She touches her hair and tells her that he will make sure to repeat this favor. He questions that when the curse is lifted, will he finally hear her name? She tells him that she thought he might have already investigated who she is. He kisses her hair and tells her that he has never done any investigation, and he has not even thought about uncovering her identity first from this side. He mentioned that the fact that such a powerful water manipulator like her has never been known to the world means that there must be a story about her that should not be known to the world. He states that he won't try to pry into anything unless she chooses to tell him. He asks her to please somebody. Tell him herself. She finds him really kind. She states that she will make sure to let him know before his eyes are completely healed. A new day begins, as she thinks that, as Ryan said, she's free to roam during the day. She should go to the library and look for books on water manipulation. She finds it truly fascinating that before regression, Michael was followed only by unfavorable rumors. But he turned out to be much more affectionate than she expected. She wonders if her regression could have affected him too. She thinks that it is fortunate for her that the likelihood of receiving help has increased. She goes to the library and thinks that it has been a while since she has been here. She used to come here often to hide from relatives who despite the unawakened. She wonders, since when did she stop coming here? The flashback hits her as her expression changes into sadness. She decides to search for books on water awakeners. She thinks that she needs to read therapeutic books for Michael. As they peel off layers of the curse one by one, the required power of the water will become more complex. Someone notices her. He calls out her name as it is Huiam and Elheim. The twins have 3 older brothers. The eldest is Einrias, the second is Dantharion, and the third is Huiamin. She often played with him, who was the same age as her. He was timid and loved books, and their relationship began to change. He asked her to check out some books. She told him that this is ancient forgotten knowledge and questions if this is not amazing. He began to start collecting forbidden books secretly from their father. At first she read the forbidden books along with him without knowing anything. But later she read them because she wanted to help their family, even without the power of water. However, the secret did not last long. They were found out. His duke was filled with anger as he questioned who brought these books into Elheim. Huiman became scared and told him that it was not him. His duke asked. Then who was it? He pointed towards Ryert, telling him that it was her. He told the duke that those ancient books belonged to her. She was shocked as the duke clearly knew that she was not the culprit, and there was no way a young girl could have had the money and power to seek out and obtain a forbidden book. Even though he knew that, he still punished her. She would rather be bitten if anything, but the violence inflicted by the duke using his water abilities left her traumatized. After that incident, she did not maintain a close relationship with him. But when there's no other blood relatives around, he would often awkwardly strike upon conversations. He would ask how she has been or commenting on today's weather, just like how he's doing right now. He asks her how has she been. She calls out to him and questions what right does he have to breed her like this. He trembles and stares at her. Before regression, she was traumatized by the forbidden book incident. She used to feel fear towards him as well because of their former from the forbidden book incident. But now she feels completely indifferent. Know that he heard she collapsed due to poison, so he was worried. She passes by him and asks him if that is all. She does not have the time to deal with him right now. He tells her that he always wanted to apologize for the mistakes he made when he was young, and he's worried about her. That is why he's here. She tells him it is because he is worried about himself is not dead, as he wants to alleviate that guilt inside him and feel better. She questions if she is wrong. She tells him that he cannot stand the idea of becoming a bad person, and on that day he always wanted to remain as a good child in the Duke's eyes. He is putting the blame on her for that incident. He does not know how to respond to that, as she tells him that there is no need to apologize now. She has no intention of accepting it. He grabs her hands before she pulls it away. She tells him to continue living as such a good child. She calls him a hypocrite. It is the night time, as Michael questions, so the results of the investigation, spanning several days, is that the spirit stone in Elheim awakens. He questions if this is the only one. He is told yes, that is correct. Michael asks for the evidence. Walter questions that how can he provide evidence when this is what he saw and heard. He was on the verge of that several times just to figure this out. Walter is aware that although he said that there is no way this kind of appeal will work on the young master, surely immediately he knows he will tell him to conduct an investigation again. But to his surprise, Michael tells him that it cannot be helped. Walter is shocked. Michael tells him that he has worked hard and regarding the Spirit Stone, he will probably ask Father about it in the letter. Walter thinks if he's finally going crazy after losing his sight to a curse. Michael seems to be in a happy mood as Walter asks him if he's feeling happy perhaps. He responds, "Yes, it has been a day, so it is time to come back." He wonders if he is perhaps talking about the awakened one who came to lift the curse. He wonders if this is the reason why he seems to be in a particularly good mood these days. She decides to leave, taking the letters almost midnight, and tells him that he will go and send the report to the master now. He is waiting for her for a while before he stands up and tells that it has been unusually peaceful and quiet for the past few days. Some assassins appear holding daggers. He's aware that Elheim would not engage in such an obvious trick, and those who cursed him must have sent them. Michael takes out a dagger and tells them that a single dagger is more than enough for the likes of them. He wonders that using his abilities would make it easier, but it is clear that he would be pursued by Elheim. He is also aware that if he uses a gun, the sun will echo throughout the entire mansion. He thinks that he should handle this as quietly as possible. The assassin attacks him before he dodges it. He wonders what could possibly be the mastermind's purpose in sending these guys. He thinks that Elheim defenses are certainly not lax. Yet despite that, they manage to sneak in here. And it wonders if their intention is to drive a wedge between Elheim and Verch. He hears a voice as she calls on to him from behind. He tells her that she has come at a bad time and apologizes to her, but asks her to please wait outside for a moment and that he's cleaning up right now. He then realizes that their movements have stopped and thinks if it could be. As he notices that she is using her powers, she asks him if he's all right. He responds that he's fine, but he remembers telling her to wait outside. The assassin trembles as she tells him that he might be in danger. She notices his face and touches it, telling him that it looks like his cheek got hurt. She tells him that once the situation is sorted out, she will take care of the treatment. He wonders that even amidst the stench of blood, to think that she only wants to focus on treating and protecting him. Her actions always exceeds his expectations, and it confuses his mind as he blushes. He tells her that thanks to her, things have been sorted out to some extent. He states that he will take care of them, so she should stay behind him. The assassins begin to fade as she becomes shocked. She asks him to wait as they soon turn into dust. He questions if she was the one who just did that. She tells him that she was the one, and she did not use any power. She looks at their bones and wonders if it is another curse. She thinks it. However, in most general curses and spells, letters or symbols would remain. But since there is no such thing, it really seems like ancient magic. She tells him that she does not know the exact origin, but for now she does not sense any kind of magic. He tells her that it will be no harm then, and he is glad that it is not that worse. He sits down and thanks her for the help. He mentions that he will have the escort knight find out what happened. She responds that, yes, just in case he should tell them to be careful. She tells him that now she will remove the curse. He blushes slightly and tells her all right. She mentions that she will start now. She uses the power and thinks that if the second curse disappears with this, then there will be only 5 curses left then. He wishes that time would stop. Meanwhile, the Crown Prince looks at the bones and states that it is impossible to maintain its shape for a long time, that it would be best to dispose of them. It is the Crown Prince Lucas Franzium. He is questioned what should they do with the puppets already sent to Elheim. The Grand Prince tells that they won't be using this method again, so it is okay to leave them alone. He knows that the Duke of Birch and Elheim will be suspicious towards each other. He is aware that it won't be easy to find out who is behind it. He is told that he is right. But it is not easy to understand Michael's current situation in Duke Elheim. Dog Grand Prince thinks if it could be that the Duke of Elheim is planning to cooperate with Verch. He is told to not worry as it is a curse cast with powerful ancient magic, so even Duke Elheim will not be able to break it off easily. He ponders that he did put a lot of effort into putting a curse on it. And even with Elheim's abilities, it won't be easy to solve. Except for only one person, who is Ryan. The Crown Prince asks him to, appropriately using Ninian as an excuse, send a letter saying there will be a visit to Elheim. Meanwhile, someone questions what is the status of the energy stone. They are told that a blue hollow appeared in the center and the entire spirit store is pulsating like a heart. And it is proof that awakening is not far away. They mention that it is all thanks to Ryan. He is thinking about when he asked me where did Ryard had to, questioning if she did not ask for him. But the maid told him that she did not mention anything about the Duke. The Duke calls out to Ryan and asks him what is wrong. He questions that since he will soon become an adult, should not he find a spouse? He is showed the letter from His Highness, the Crown Prince, in which it is stated that he will be visiting Elheim soon. It looks like he wants him and Princess Ninian to get engaged. He responds that it does not matter to him, and is aware that Ninian is not a bad opponent. It was clearly evident that she had liked him since they were young. But Ryard Elheim was easier to deal with than Ninian, but now she feels stranger and distant than anyone else. He wonders where did it just go wrong. The duo understands that he has no complaints about his engagement to the princess. The Duke is asked when will he invite His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. He mentions that they'll have to hold an event to welcome Mihail Verch in the near future, so it would be a good idea to invite the royal family that day, as a very grand banquet will be held at night, while the hunting competition will be held during the day. Have few days pass like that, and there are only 2 curses left. They begin it as she thinks it is more complicated than the previous curses, so it will take some time. He tells her that it is fine and asks her to take her time. Walter asked him if he said there were 2 more curses. He had responded that it is still blurry now, but he still can see shapes and distinguish colors. Walter told him that if he can see that far ahead, then there's no problem if he meets an enemy in a hunting competition. Although he already knows that Duke Elheim hates Verch, they still hold a hunting competition to welcome the blind. He thinks that they are slowly crossing the line, and it might actually end up being fun. Because he's going to trample on Elheim someday, he decides to think of it as entertainment before that. It begins to get blurry as he wonders if the curse has been lifted. He notices that it seems to be getting clearer. She calls out to him and questions if he can see her. He is astonished as he looks elsewhere. She tells him that she tried to remove it perfectly, but she is not sure if it worked well. She calls out to him again. He responds that it looks very clear. He wonders that he cannot believe he is this flustered and decides to stay calm. He tells her that he is glad she is the first person he has seen after the curse was lifted. He grabs her hand and kisses it. He tells her that he is very thankful and that he does not forget favors. Since she restored his eyes as the successor, the entire Verch family will treat her as a benefactor. He mentions that there's still 1 layer of the curse remaining, but he believes that she will soon fully undo it. Just as he promised when she first entered this room, he will grant her whatever she desires. He asks her what does she wish for. She thinks about it as she is aware it is something she must achieve to avoid repeating the regrets of her past life. It may be impossible alone, but with Michael's help it might just be possible. She tells him that her name is Ryard Elheim. She is the disgrace of the Elheim ducal family. She tells him that she was born awakened half-blood. She is a half-blooded Elheim. There is only one thing that she desires, which is to escape from Elheim. She asks him to please help her. He is astonished before he smiles and tells her that her name is very beautiful. He touches her face and mentions that alright, he will help her break free from Elheim. They are sitting together as he tells her that as she knows he is the heir of Verch, and with his father currently the Duke of Vich, and until recently his grandfather was also here. He looks at her and states that he seems to be the only one talking and asks her if she can tell him about herself too. She tells him that her name is Ryart. He is dumbfounded as he responds that he already knows that. He questions that he wants to ask if she whether dislikes or likes something. She is confused as she wonders what does she like. She tells him that maybe she likes animals. He asks her if she likes birds, but she responds that she is not sure about that. She knows that even though it is about herself, she does not know anything. What she likes and what she dislikes. Bird begins to appear. He tells her that these all birds commonly used for reconnaissance in Verch. He questions if she likes them. She smiles and mentions that yes, she does. He stares at her for a while before he blushes. So when does she think it might happen leaving Elheim? He states that if she wishes then he could let her leave right away. She tells him no. She's still a minor, and nobles who are minors cannot leave their family until they come of age. And if she were to leave now, the Empire would use its laws to justify capturing her. It might even turn the entire Empire against Verch. He is dumbfounded as she asks him to not make that expression, asking what the problem is. He is aware that once the hunting competition ends he will be leaving this place. He thinks that he does not want to leave her behind in a place like this, but she seems uncomfortable too. He will just have to wait. He tells her that he will then consider the day she leaves to be her coming-of-age ceremony. She drugs him. Yes, she will wait. Someone appears and states that nothing seems to change here. He's Dantirian as he is told that he is late. He questions is not this famous for his beauty and asks him if he has the Spirit Stone. He is the second son of Elheim, Dantirian Elheim. He was exceptional even among the awakened of Elheim's direct lineage. Disliking Elheim's nature color, he changed it permanently, and left for the Imperial Palace to serve as a guard to Princess Ninian. He is told that the Spirit Stones are where they always are, so if he is so curious, could not he just rushed over as soon as he received a letter about the change in the Spirit Stone? He states that as he knows, he's quite busy. He wants to see the spread stone first. As he goes there, he finds it impressive and questions, why did he just say it was shining if he knew it was this impressive? He would have come sooner. He is told that it was not originally like this. He tries to touch it as even though the water awakeners of the Elheim family did not create water themselves, they could manipulate it. That is called control. However, the waters that fill this place cannot be controlled. Moreover, it is becoming more violent. They are shocked, questioning what on earth is happening. Just then a light emits and someone appears, questioning who are they. The boy asks them who are they and where is the one who woke him up. They are shocked as they wonder who is this being and realizes that immense pressure, realizing that humans cannot reach this level of power. Being aware that a monster or only a divine being would be able to do this, they ask him who is he? He responds that he is so arrogant to ask him that and uses his water power to attack them. He controls them and states that he is Lord Rayard's 10th weapon. He is also Durin's first contractor. They are shocked as he tells them that in their words he is known as the Spirit King. Any questions if they are a distant descendant of Durin as they have extraordinary strength. They tremble in pain as he tells them they will ask him again, and questions which is the one who woke him up. Dantirian is aware that if he does not answer, then he is going to get killed as he's treating them as beings worse than ants. They tell him that the child is outside right now and asks him if they should go and bring her. He tells them not right now, but in the next 3 days they should bring the successor here. He disappears. Dantirian mentions that it seems like he fell asleep again. He's aware that 3 days later would be the day after the hunting competition and banquet would be ended. They decide to quickly teleport the Spirit Stone to his father. The door is unable to be opened as his duke calls them idiots and questions. Could not one of them stay outside? He responds if he knows what will happen to them if they were alone with the Spirit King. They would have been eaten. The duke tells them that if they are too scared, before his son tells him that the Spirit King told them to bring the heir to Durin and come back in 3 days. He states that if they come with Ryan tomorrow, the door will definitely be open. With that guy, Ryan has not been seen lately, so they wonder where is he and what is he doing. That Iran has been particularly attached to Ryart these days. He said he would invite that kid to this hunting competition as well and questions if they should stop her from coming even now. But his Duke states that if Ryan wants her to come, then they should respect that. It is more important than anything else to hide the facts about the Spirit King in particular. They must never let it fall into the ears of those Verch. It is the day of the hunting competition. Michael appears and notices Ryan holding Ryert's hand. He glares at them and wonders that he does not like it. Asked how is he feeling today, he responds that he is feeling good and mentions that it looks like it will be a fun hunt. The Duke tells him to enjoy it comfortably. He responds all right as he wonders there is only one layer of curse left, and the curse on his eyes has almost been lifted, so there is no problem with seeing at all. He is aware that the Duke thinks that he cannot see. That means he probably thinks that he's just standing here like a scarecrow and watching. It is not difficult to get his way. His eyes falls again on Ryert and Ryan's holding hands. He wonders that this is a separate matter. After a while she is sitting under a tree as she thinks that these days Ryan has become strange. Before returning, he never brought her to hunting competitions like this, and she never expected anything like that. But now he tells her that he will bring her to some games, and what does she want? She told him that there is no need. He asked her if it is because she does not want to. She told him to not kill the silver fox and bring it to her. He was astonished before he smiled. He told her that he will keep his promise. Definitely. She knows that she intentionally talked about the silver fox, which is difficult to catch, causing her to think what on earth is he even planning. Before the regression she had hoped for a situation like this, but now it is just annoying. Someone calls out to her as she turns around to find Michael. He calls out to her as he sits beside her. She asks him how did he know that she was here. He responds that he just thought that she might be here. He smiles as he looks at her. He's aware that the truth is that he followed the refreshing scent of her floating through the wind. He giggles as she is confused. She questions if there is nothing wrong with his eyes. He tells her yes, it is a lot better. He asks her about her. He touches her arms and states it must have hurt a lot though. She tells him that it did not hurt much since she's used to this. He tells her to not get used to it, causing her to be astonished. He states that he doesn't want her to get used to feeling the pain. Her expression is filled with astonishment as she is aware she does not know what to say at a time like this. She asks him why did he come here. He tells her it is because he missed her. She is aware that other people think of her as an unawakened person. They did not see her, so why did he bother to come to her in this wide forest? She knows that he keeps inviting about her. She tells him that she is glad he came too. This causes her to be shocked. He begins to blush as he stands up and asks Celebrity should get going. He questions if she's attending the banquet being held today. She didn't remember the surgeon had told her to come to the banquet held out to the hunting competition. She tells him yes if he goes. He tells her okay as she wanted to dance with her. She mentions that she cannot dance. He tells her to not worry about that as he will teach her and states that he will see her at the banquet. Ryan is roaming around there too as he notices a fur. Earlier he was questioned that why does he want to catch a silver fox. They were shocked as they thought they should leave him alone. Maybe it is because he likes foxes. The Duke had told him that he has picked a difficult prey. He asked his Duke about it. As the Duke told him, it is a breed that was killed by orders of the ancestors, so it would be almost extinct. He ponders maybe this silver fox might be the last one left here. He remembers her words when she told him to catch the silver fox, being aware that he must catch it. He thinks maybe then they can go back to the way it was before. He notices something as he observes it and realizes that is the silver fox. He decides to get just a bit more closer in trying to find it. Certainly someone attacks it as he becomes shocked, questioning who could it be. He realizes that the fox just passed out. He wonders if this was a sound of the gunshot. He turns around to find someone and asks him what is the meaning. It is Michael as he asks what is going on. He tells Ryan that he can see, and it seems like his hunting skills are less than his who is blinded by the curse. He does him next time he should please catch it sooner to him again. He passes by him stating it is something that asks to be stolen. Meanwhile, in her room Ryan realizes that she did not even open the dress Ryan gave her for the banquet. She is aware that in her past life she has never won a banquet dress, and so many things have changed since the regression, the imperial family's visit, and the banquet. These things did not originally happen, so she wonders why did the future change. She opens the box to see the dress and finds it beautiful, thinking if she would have enjoyed this if she was an ordinary princess. She looks at herself in the mirror and thinks that with this uncut hair, the old gray dress, and the young face from 3 years ago, it sounds ridiculous, and if it were before, she would not have any regrets about life. However, now for her, she will write about her own future. In the evening after the hunting competition, steps out of the carriage and calls out to the young master, telling him it has been a long time. He greets her too, and thanks the crown prince for the visit. It seems to be Ninian in the banquet. She is clinging on to him. They notices the princess and realizes that she did not even greet them and just went straight to Ryan. The princess tells Dantirian that the behavior does not really suit him, as he responds yes, he is aware of that. The Duke thanks him for the visit. He tells him that he received his gift last time. He also questions of water hunting competition earlier today. He is told that it ended good. The crown prince thinks that it is clear from his expressions that something is wrong and wonders what happened. He didn't think the water and wonders where is Michael. He notices him standing in the corner and thinks that the curse seems to be doing its work well. The princess asks the crown prince what is he thinking. He responds that he was just thinking that young master is too good to marry her. She blushes and asks him to be quiet. She tells the crown prince that Ryan seems to be a little bit upset today. She just asked if Ryan was not coming, and he did not look happy. She tells her brother that she looks pretty like him, so she wanted to get close to him. They are aware that is why the Duke hates her even more. Although she resembles him whom he cherishes the most among the heirs, yet she is incompetent. They don't even understand why she's still so disliked. Everyone becomes shocked as they think that advise everyone so noisy. She notices them looking towards the stair as Ryan steps down. Everyone as Duke is shocked to see her. They notices their mother resembles in her. She apologizes for being late. The princess also notices that she looks so different that she did not recognize her. They are aware that it is the first time they have seen her in such a dress, and plus that poised and composed demeanor without any dare. She is truly looking like a perfect noble lady. Even after being treated badly, she always chased after the affection of the family. You disappointed even more cowardly, because it was ridiculous for her to expect to be able to enter the family's midst. He would ask her to not follow him. He steps towards her as she glares at him, and he wonders why she looking at him with such cold eyes now. He extends his hands towards her and asks for her dance before he is interrupted by Michael, who questions if she would like to dance with him. He remembers his words earlier when he stated that he would make sure to take her quickly next time, and he would not be able to take it away from him again. She tells him of course, and she would love to dance with him wholeheartedly. Ryan stands there looking at them stepping away. As the song plays, she asks him if he likes this song. He tells her that he might have liked it in the past and states that she looks very beautiful today. She thanks him and states that he looks exquisite too. Her attention turns towards the crown prince, who is staring at them. She knows that before she regressed, the royal family even meddled in ancient powers and portions. The assassins entered the banquet, and Michael lost his eyesight due to a curse, Asian magic that turned into dust. And all of those are ancient powers that cannot be used unless the person is from the royal family. She wonders if that means that the royal family is behind everything. She thinks if today's royal visit is to make sure that Michael's skirts is intact. She questions if it is okay for Michael to publicly dance like this. She tells him where the mastermind who cursed his eyes is at the banquet. He smirks as she ponders that she was thinking of explaining it more clearly if it became tighter, but he has already figured it out. He tells her that it does not matter, and she firmly believes that he won't see ahead over there. More importantly, he tells her that when she comes of age, she should come to Vich with him. He hopes that she would accompany him. Ryan is staring at them as He clenches his fist and thinks that she must never leave Elheim, and when he takes his place as Duke after coming of age, he can keep her bound to Elheim forever. The princess expresses that her feet hurt. She asks Ryan to stop dancing, and that they should go inside now. She notices the Duke and the Crown Prince, stating that they must be discussing their engagement, right? She asks him if he is excited about it. The Crown Prince asks his Duke if they should send the engagement documents conventionally. The Duke accepts as long as the Crown Prince can, but they are interrupted by Ryan, who rejects the idea. His Duke and Crown Prince's attention turns towards him. Ryan expresses his desire of having something to say briefly. His Duke grits in frustration. The princess also becomes nervous. The Duke tries to stop him, but Ryan mentions that the engagement will take place after the coming-of-age ceremony. The Crown Prince smirks before he states that he understands his intentions, as engagements during minority are unstable. The Crown Prince states that the youngest son of the Duke is truly a serious and cautious person. The Duke mentions that Ryan cares so much about the princess. The princess holds on to his arm and thanks him for thinking of her to that extent. He looks at her, realizing that it was not a concern for the princess, but thinks that it is not that bad to let misunderstandings persist. He is aware that there is a reason to hold the coming-of-age ceremony quickly. Elheim is strictly governed by water abilities. Currently, the strongest awakened one is him, so when he comes of age, he will become the successor of Duke Elheim. And just like that, he can exercise authority to keep Rhyd from going anywhere. Meanwhile, Rhyd is checking a room as she thinks that it has been a while here too. This is where she used to be disciplined by the Duke. Memories stumbles upon her as she remembers him slapping her. Back in the present, his Duke opens the door. He calls out to her and tells her that she danced with Verch at the banquet yesterday. She turns around as she is asked if she has any excuses for that. She asks him if she needs an excuse. She questions what is the problem with dancing with Verch. He stares at her with an unsettled look. He notices that something has changed in her, realizing that she always used to be withdrawn. He thinks that even if she does, that it's probably just a new ploy to attract attention. He points at her, shouting if she thinks that she can rebel because she knows he hates Verch. He tells her to not make the mistake of thinking that he will give her less attention. He tells her that she is not an Elheim, so he has no intention of treating her as his daughter. She is silent for a while before she tells him that is fine, as she does not consider him as her father either. This causes him to flinch. She knows that is not something that he can say, as more than anything she wanted to belong to Elheim, yet he never treated her as one. He asks her if she is aware of what she is saying right now. She responds that she is aware of that. She reminds him that just like he has mentioned that several times, she is not a person of Elheim. She states that it's contradictory to say that she must keep Verch away, questioning that following Elheim's duty isn't it. He is totally shocked before he grits in frustration. He questions if she knows what this room is despite that. She is aware that every time she came to the discipline room, she heard it so much that her ears hurt, so there is no way she would not know. It's the music room of the Duchess, the place she loved the most before she died. He would tell her that her mother died because of her. She died because Rhyd was born as non-existent. She heard that the Duchess was already weakened after giving birth to 3 sons, but she held on to her and Ryan until her last breath. After Ryan's death, she left the world. She asks him if it's her mother's last, while asking him to take revenge on the one who killed her. She passes by him, stating that if he does not have anything else to say then. She shuts the room's door closed as he stands inside. He remembers the Duchess's words when she called Rhyd her pretty daughter, and how she loves her because she is her child. His Duke slams his fist on the piano in anger. He thinks that she died because she gave birth to Rhyd, a non-existent, so that child can never become an Elheim. He glares and ponders that Rhyd will never become an awakened one. It's the night time. Rhyd lifts the last curse too, telling him it's all done. He thanks her and tells her that today she does not seem to be feeling well. He questions what happened. She responds that she went to the discipline room for a while this afternoon. He thinks about it as he observes her, noticing that there are no visible wounds. He thinks that fortunately she was not subjected to violence, right? He smiles, being aware that if he asks about details she will probably feel uncomfortable. He tells her that it must have been tough at the banquet and asks her if she is okay. He states that if she is tired, then she can lean on him. She stares at him silently, causing him to think if she is ignoring him again. She decides to lean on him, making him stunned. She expresses that she told Duel Elheim that she does not consider him as family. She questions if it was the right thing to do. He is surprised that Ryart decided to open up about her true feelings first. He tells her if that is the case, then she has done well. He states that she does not need to try to impress someone who does not respect her. She tells him that if it had not been for that reason, then she would have been trapped there for life in that mountain cabin. She feels like perhaps it would have been better living alone there. She knows that it was very difficult for her. Despite unjust punishment, outbursts, indifference, and ridicule, still she always tried because she wanted to be loved as part of the family. Even if she was used, she wanted to be a member of a family, but now she thinks that she does not care anymore about noble families like Elheim. Michael calls out to her before she is hugged tightly by him. She calls out to him as he tells her that he will definitely help her get away from Elheim. She decides to trust him and hugs him back. She thanks him before he asks her if she gets out of here, is there anything that she'd like to do? She questions what does she want to do. She expresses her desire to see the sea. She has always wished that she could see it at least once before she die. He pulls her cheeks and asks her if she foolish to only want that. He tells her that she will see it, promising on the name of Virch that on the day she comes of age he will definitely come to take her away. Meanwhile, it is stated that finally today is the day decreed by the Spirit King, and that Ain should open the door and see in. Ain opens the door as they step in. His Duke thinks that when he first heard that the Spirit King had awakened, he could not even guess how powerful he was. He is aware that the overwhelming power of this water confirms that he is the Spirit King. Ain gets down, stating that he has brought the true owner of the Spirit Stone that he wants. The Spirit King takes a look at Ryan and questions if he is the reason they woke him up for. Everyone flinches as the Spirit King begins to get frustrated, with a terrifying look. He states that they're talking nonsense, and that Ryan is fake. It's raining heavily. The Spirit King mentions that the one who awakened him is not him. Ryan is shocked. The Spirit King questions, how dare they bring a fake one and deceive him? He tells them that he will kill all of them. The Duke flinches and tells him that they have no idea what he is saying. He mentions that this child is definitely the owner of the Spirit Stone. The Spirit King ponders if he truly does not know, because he can feel it that they must be very incarnation of Urin who woke him up somewhere here. The Spirit King states that the true owner of the Spirit Stone is in this mansion. He asks them to bring that person before him. The Duke kneels down, telling him as he wishes. He flinches, thinking if it is not Ryan, then who on earth could it be? After that, he brought all the high-ranking awakened members of the family to their Spirit King. But the only response was that none of them were the one. The Duke had no idea where it went wrong. He thought if it could be really, that Ryan is not the owner of the Spirit Stone. The Duke was told that just in case, they should check even the lowered rank awakened ones. Ryan remained quiet. He was told not to worry much, as even if he is not the owner of the Spirit Stone, he will still be the next Duke, as his brother has no desire to be a Duke in the first place. His Duke asks Dantirian if he's leaving for the palace now. Dantirian states that since Princess has already left, it is the right thing to do and he will be back for Ryan's coming-of-age ceremony. Right then, his Duke is informed that Michael says he's leaving now. The Duke thought that he would shamelessly stay longer, but he's leaving sooner than expected. Outside, Michael is asked if it is okay to leave when there's still time left. Mikhail responds that the curse has already been lifted and there is a lot to prepare for. He is asked if there's anything that he needs to prepare for. He is holding the fox in his hand. He mentions that he should prepare to welcome Ryart. Someone steps out and tells him that he came out to bid farewell as he is leaving. It is Ryan. Michael tells him that it is an honor indeed, stating that thanks to Ryan, he has been doing well. Thanks to Elheim's care, there has not been a dull day. Ryan looks at the fox and questions if he is taking it with him. He responds that of course he is taking it with him, as he will definitely take what is his back with him. He steps in the carriage and tells Ryan that he will see him again later. Ryan tells him that he does not think he will ever see him again. Neither him nor his sister. Michael knows that Elheim will definitely see him again. It has been a few months since Michael left. Since then, nothing special has happened. To put it bluntly, Ryan moved her room here. A room fit for a noble woman. She wonders what other changes there are. Stepped in the room as she asks him why is he here. He questions if he needs a reason to come to his only sister's room. She remains quiet as he tells her that they're coming of age. Ceremony is soon, and he asks her does not she want something for it. She tells him that it is her coming of age ceremony, so why would he like to know what she wants? He questions cannot choose top, staring out the window like someone about to leave soon. It makes him feel uneasy every time she does that. She does not respond to him before he questions if she wants to leave Elheim. He does have. It is too bad because it won't happen. He mentions that even if she dies, she'll be dying within Elheim. This causes her to flinch. She clenches her fist and remembers Michael's words that he will definitely help her escape from Elheim. She ponders statistical Ryan is wrong as she will never repeat the same life twice. Meanwhile, the princess is looking for Dantirian. She questions where is he, thinking, where did he go again? He calls out to her, asking if she is looking for him. She shouts at him, telling him that she told him not to hide his appearance using his abilities without saying anything. She asks him where on earth did he disappear this time. He asks her how can she say such harsh words, telling her that he is just here to assist her without causing any disturbance like the air. She tells him that he is just talking nonsense again. He notices the crown prince talking to someone else as that woman looks at him. The princess talks about the new maid who just came in today. Dantirian again disappears using his abilities. She's tired of him as she wonders where did he suddenly go. Meanwhile, the crown prince is informed that Master Ryan's coming of age ceremony is approaching soon. The crown prince asks if it was in 3 days. He's aware that princess will be pleased to hear about it. They reach a place. The woman seems a bit hesitant. The crown prince asks her to pay close attention, as this is none other than the half-blooded spirit king that has been passed down to generations in the royal family. The crown prince states that it is truly beautiful. He mentions that he wants to create the ideal spirit king and make all of its power his. A true spirit king that won't be swayed by some awakener in order to establish through imperial power. The count tells him that everything will happen as he wishes. The crown prince asks him to bring out the bottle. The count asks him if he will be retrieving it himself. The crown prince questions if the count is not aware of the power of the royal family, stating that red eyes are only possessed by the royal family, and they are not affected by an awakener's power and curse. He begins to do it as the count tells him that he wishes the crown prince would still be a bit more careful. This black powder that comes out of the Spirit King has a special ability. Once you inhale or even touch the powder, that living being will lose all its sanity. The crown prince states this will be enough and asks the count how is Michael doing. The count tells him it is as usual. It is quiet with the castle doors closed. He stole that. Michael's heir has gone blind, and the grandfather will never be able to see the light of day. The crown prince knows that it has been a while since he raised a toast. Dantirian was listening to their conversation as he never expected the secret that the crown prince was hiding would be the Spirit King. A day before Ryan's coming-of-age ceremony, Dantalion runs to him and questions if he still has not found the owner of the elemental stone. His duke states that as he said, he took all those from their family, and they had no success. Dantirian is shocked to hear that as he's aware that they did come to see Ryan's coming-of-age ceremony, but it was also to witness the current situation of the Spirit King, and he cannot believe that it is still the same. He is aware that the royal family spirit's power is not even comparable to the Water Spirit King. However, he will have to see. goes out to his father and asks him what will he do when the Ryart becomes an adult. His brother is aware that these days, Ryan has been weirdly obsessed with Ryart, thinking why would he bring her up in this conversation. The Duke tells him that after the coming-of-age ceremony, if he can use her ability without her, then he will kick her out since she will be not of any use anymore. Ryan tells him no, causing his father to flinch. He asks him to let her stay in their family. He tells him that she wants to leave this place when she reaches adulthood, and they do not have the legal right to keep her here. He asks his father cannot they just forcibly detain her. He tells his father that he was the one who mentioned that she is his property, and now he's telling him what legal rights. He is told that he is right, and if she refuses to listen to him, then he can make her a cripple so she cannot leave. Break her so much so she cannot leave, and he can do whatever he wants. Dantirian still believes the true owner of the elemental stone is Ryan. However, even though the Awakeners from Elheim said this is wrong, the Spirit King specifically said that Ryan was a fake. The Spirit King called fake only to Ryan. Even if it is true, there is nothing they can do now. The Duke tells him to do whatever he wants to. It is the nighttime as Ryart is aware that tomorrow is finally Ryan's coming-of-age ceremony. She is aware that there is something she must confirm. She knows that recently Elheim Awakeners have been called to the temple thinking that something must have happened here. She stands in front of the door that only an ascended Awakener can open. She reaches for it and it opens. She steps in and looks at the Spirit King, realizing that he looks similar to the blue man she saw before. She regressed. He opens his eyes and notices her. He reaches for her, telling her that she finally came. He calls her his master, his one and only contractor. She tells him that she does not remember ever making a contract with him. He mentions that is not true. He holds her hands, and suddenly her hands begins to emit light. He tells her that he engraved this on her so she can recognize him even if she is reborn. They promise to see each other again. He tells her she is the first contractor, Urin's reincarnation. She asks him if he is saying that she is the embodiment of the head of the first family, Urin. He closes his eyes and not respond. She asks him what is going on as he tells her that he can read her memories. He states that scoundrels of this family are people who deserve to be torn apart and killed. They cannot recognize the real and cling to falsehoods which are truly laughable. He mentions that if she wishes, he can kill all the humans of Elheim right now. He can make death cover this entire empire. She asks him to please not do that. He questions Bird before she tells him that these worthless beings do not deserve his effort, and she will leave from here anyway, so he should please keep their meeting a secret. He questions if she is going to Michael. She tells him yes. He tells her that he wants to go with her, but long ago made an attempt to split the Spirit King into two pieces. So if he leave this place, it will likely cause a change in the seal as well. She asks about the seal before she can hear someone talking about how they can hear someone's voice from inside. They question if it is His Majesty that is inside. She realizes that she should go now. He tells her that when the time is right, he wants to tell her more than this, and he cannot be with her now, but he wishes her happiness, asking her to make sure to be happy. She tells him that they will meet again for sure. He calls them a fool, thinking that if they knew who they have thrown, they would be regretting it deeply. On the day of the coming-of-age ceremony, she is sitting in the corner. The question if she will also appear today. He responds of course she will, as they are twins and his coming-of-age ceremony is also her coming-of-age ceremony. He is asked if he has to go this far as she's not a criminal yet she's under surveillance. Ryan mentions that he continues to think about this nonsense. He is told that it is a bit too much as an awakened individual who has come of age cannot be restrained by their line age alone. And within the family before he's interrupted by Ryan, who gives him a glare, telling him that is funny. He calls out to H. Wyman, questioning since when does he consider her a family member. He apologizes to Ryan in fear, telling him that he is right. He decides to leave now. Ryan stares at her, thinking that this is where she belongs, a place trapped in shadows and like a shadow itself, looking at others as if longing for the light. The princess calls out to him and congratulates him on reaching adulthood. He blushes slightly and thanks her. She thinks that since he has already held his coming-of-age ceremony, does this mean that they can hold the engagement ceremony soon? He's talking to the princess, but his eyes are on Rhyd. She's aware that she is constantly monitored, and they use the guards to monitor her under the guise of protection. She remembers when Michael told her that he will indeed get her out of Elfheim. She wonders if he can really help her. The Duke is laughing aloud with people. Right then, the attendant calls out to him. His Duke asks him what is going on. He responds that an uninvited carriage has appeared, and he thinks it is Michael, causing his Duke to flinch. Michael steps in. He states that luckily the ceremony is not over yet, mentioning that he must have been late. He is not covering his eyes with a cloth. Both the princess and the Ryan are stunned to see him. Ryan notices that the eye patch is gone. He wonders, could it be that the curse has been lifted from him? The Duke points at Michael and shouts at him, questioning how dare he invade Elfheim, stating that he will be held accountable for this. Michael responds that he is only here to retrieve what he left behind. Ryan asks him what is he that he left behind. Michael then looks at Rhyd. He extends his hand towards her and tells her that he has come to fulfill his promise. He asks her to come with him to Verge. She is shocked as she stares at him. He apologizes to her for the delay. He steps towards her and tells her that they should go now. Right then, Ryan asks him to not touch her. Ryan begins to use his powers. He questions who does he think he is to take her away, questioning how dare Michael touches what belongs to him. He tells Michael that he will kill him. He attacks Michael with his powers, but his powers are suppressed by another power, causing people to wonder who is this with such power. Ryan finds it impossible. It is Rhyd. She tells everyone that it would be good if everyone would stop at this point. Ryan flinches as Michael laughs. She steps away before Michael grabs her hand and asks her where is she going. She does seem that she has something to do before she go to Verge. She lets go of his hand and steps towards his Duke. His Duke asks her what is that power she just displayed. She calls out to him and tells him that today she is officially severing all ties with the Elfheim family. She tells him that after coming of age, Elfheim will no longer have any authority over her. 421 years. All this time she has been trapped in hell, but she knows not anymore. Everyone is shocked to see her power, wondering what is going on. She ponders that she will no longer live as a substitute for someone else. She tells Michael that she's done now, and that they should go. He smiles, telling her of course as they both leave. She looks at him and ponders that now she can see the sea. Meanwhile, in the carriage, Michael ponders that the Elfheim family was persistent until the end. He remembers that the Duke almost knelt down for her. He is aware that she is a treasure far greater than staying with those fools who do not realize her value. He curses Ryan and is aware that she is not an alternative to that person. She tells him that it is interesting. He looked at her as she states that she cannot believe she's actually outside Elfheim Palace. She really cannot believe this. Michael grabs her attention and states that he will make her forget everything she experienced in the Elfheim Duchy by his side. They have arrived as he thinks it is at the right time. He questions if she's ready. The carriage door is opened as she looks at it and becomes astonished, realizing this is the sea and finds it truly beautiful. She smiles, thinking that it is beautiful and free. It is the nighttime as she still stands near the sea, continuously looking at it. Michael tells her it is already nighttime and asks her if she happens to like the sea that much. She responds that she loves it. It is much wider and more beautiful than the sea she saw in fairy tales. She smiles and thanks him, expressing that she is glad she met him. He begins to blush. She asks him to take care of her when they go to Verge. She takes a step ahead as he does that too. She looks into him as he stares back. He tells her that he missed her so much while he was in Verge. She touches him and tells him that she missed him too. He grabs her hand and asks her to please stay together from now on. He puts her hand on his face and tells her that they should go to the sea together next time, and the time after that too. Meanwhile, Ryan is sitting on the floor. He wonders where did it go wrong. He knows that Guy was the problem from the beginning. He is referring to Michael, the heir of Verch. He thinks that he should have known when that person stole the silver fox. He thinks that Ryart, who should have been tucked away in a corner when he asked her to dance, he should have chased him away. Someone approaches him as he looks up and finds his duke. His duke tells him that the coming-of-age ceremony, which should have been the biggest event for Elheim, ended like this. Everyone stands there with a worried look. The duke tells Ryan that he saw the magic that she created, and he has never seen such powerful quarter magic before. Ryan stares at the duke before he turns around and asks Ryan to follow him. They decide to go to the Spirit King and ask him what on earth is happening in Elheim. He opens the door and steps in. He calls out to the Spirit King. The Spirit King mentions that it seems the successor of Urin has left and calls them foolish creatures. He calls them so foolish that he wants to tear them apart. The Duke flinches in fear and asks him to please grant them wisdom. The Duke asks him what does it mean to be the owner of the Spirit Stone. The Spirit King questions how did they interpret Urin's will. The Duke responds that one day the true master of the Spirit Stone will appear and awaken the Spirit Stone, and then will revive the family before the Spirit King tells them it is wrong. He states that he will teach them the true meaning of that will. During the time when the first head of the family was living Urin, the door to the Spirit Stone was open. The spirits freely roamed this land and interacted with humans. Humans who made contracts with the spirits received part of their abilities. And those people were called Spirit Masters. Sometimes there were people who made contracts not with spirits, but with the Spirit King. Those people were called the Awakened. Humans and spirits maintained a fairly friendly relationship, until one Spirit King fell and the door to the spirit world was closed. Dantirian is shocked as he wonders is not that the being the Crown Prince is using in the underground palace. The Spirit King states that after that all the spirits returned and the door was closed. So it is natural that the Awakened could not use their powers. The reason there was still power left in the Elheim family was because of Urin, the first head of the family. Urin, whom they praised so much, was a half-wit, who could not become a spirit master even by the age of 17. Just like Ryart, whom they persecuted so much. The Duke is shocked as he mentions no way. The Spirit King smirks and asks them how does it feel to have driven out the first head of the family whom they so highly regarded. He questions if they dared to call her a fake. He tells the Duke that the fake is the one standing next to him. The Spirit King points at Ryan and tells him that beyond being a fake, he is a chillingly ominous existence. He tells him that he is the one from the Worm, the one that sucked the life force of his mother and were born. After being born, he lived well by sucking Ryart's powers, and from now on, he will not be allowed any power. He clenches his fist. The Spirit King tells him that without Ryart, he will not receive the power of water from him. The dude goes into great shock as he begins to laugh, but then comes back to his senses. Realizing this cannot be the case, he falls down on the ground and is aware that he must get Ryart back.
The carriage stops. Michael calls out to Ryart, who is sleeping as her head is laid on his shoulders. He asks her to wake up as she slowly opens her eyes. He informs her that they have arrived. She looks outside of the window and ponders that this is the Verch Duchy. He gives her his hand and tells her to carefully get down from the carriage. He also tells her that there is one thing that he has not informed her yet. But before he can finish, someone states that he thought his throat would dry out from waiting. It is Michael's father, Carmen Verch. He welcomes her and addresses her as his guest. He seems really happy to see her as Michael tells her that father wanted to come out and greet her, and he apologizes to her as he did not tell her that earlier. She bows down and greets him. She thanks him for receiving her. Michael places his hand on her shoulder and tells her that she does not have to be so tense. His father agrees, stating that they are the ones who should be behaving well and they are the ones who should be expressing gratitude. He kisses her hand and thanks her for restoring the sight of Rish's only hair, mentioning that he heard his son was in a lot of trouble. She tells him that she has received a lot of help from Michael too. She looks at him as he smiles. His father seems pretty happy to see them this way. He then tells her that she has traveled a long way and she should come inside quickly, also informing her that he has prepared something special for her. She seems confused as she wonders what could be something that is prepared for her. She's sitting in the room as she finds it very luxurious, finding it understandable since it is the Duke's. She then begins to think if this room is prepared for her. He had told her that she will find out soon after entering the room. She wonders what does that mean. Someone knocks on the door and tells her that the master, Carmen, has sent her something. She invites the maid inside. The maid introduces herself as Merlin and states that she will serve her from now on. She didn't remember that in the previous life when Virgie attacked the royal family in Elheim. This is the Merlin who single-handedly took down hundreds of troops. She becomes aware of it, realizing that Oddfellow is definitely her. She wonders why did they assign someone with an assassin's background to her. Merlin mentions that she may be lacking for her lady, but asks her to please take care of her, stating that although she may not know much else, she's confident in keeping her safe. That is what the master desires, and he sent her to Riard. Riard tells Merlin that she is counting on her. Merlin tells her that first she will assist her in changing, as once she changes clothes she will be escorted to the garden where the masters are. In the garden, Michael is waiting for Riard. The Duke states that raising a child is useless. Michael responds that is how it is always. His father tells him that his answer is very cheeky. Michael hears the footsteps and turns around to find her already. She apologizes for being late. Michael is shocked to see her as he begins to blush. His father asks her to sit down. She is told that he did not know what she liked, so he prepared various things. He asks her to try it. Portions of this nothing to her task. She responds no, that is not it. It is because they are all foods that she has never seen before, so she does not know how to eat them. This causes both of them to be taken aback. She asks Michael to tell her how to eat and she will try to follow. His heart breaks for her, but he still smiles and states she just needs to learn slowly and she should not worry as he will teach her one by one. He first tells her that this is a cake and it is sweet and fluffy. It is delicious. He gives her a bite. She eats it and tells him it is delicious. Both of them seem happy to see her eat. It is already the night time as she knows the tea time was enjoyable. Both the chocolate and cake were things she had never eaten before. They were all sweet and delicious. She did not realize how quickly the time passed right. Then she hears a voice causing her to be shocked. She turns around to find the hallway all empty. She wonders what was the sound. She wonders if she heard it wrong. Somehow she knows that she actually did hear it before she hears it once again. She realizes that this is not an illusion and she can definitely hear the sound of crying from somewhere. Merlin calls out to her and asks her if there's a problem as she looks pale. She responds that she heard the sound of a beast crying and asks Merlin if she cannot hear the sound. Merlin responds that she cannot hear it and moreover they do not keep beasts in their duchy. She questions if that is the case. Merlin asks her to go back to her room as it is very late. She decides to do it. She still continues to hear the sound. Meanwhile, his duke states that he is being troublesome. It is a protest letter. He knows that the nobles who sided with Elheim have taken away the most powerful awakener in history, so it is natural. He questions how should he take the crown prince's interference. The butler tells him that the crown prince desires the downfall of Virch, so it is understandable. He states that he is someone who would be willing to propose marriage to secure a writer of that caliber. The Duke questions that the crown prince proposes to that girl, Riard. He finds it nonsense thinking that she, who could not even get proper treatment in the duchy, is now finally out in the world and seeing the light. They cannot possibly send her, who is no different from a benefactor to Virch, back to the pit of hell, can they? He tells the butler that there is no need to pass on such letters to him from now on. The butler responds that he will keep that in mind. He does the butler one more thing. Nevertheless, if there is someone who continues to send letters, then tell him that he will break his hands so he cannot send any more. The butler responds, "All right." Riard is laying on her bed. She thinks that coming here feels like a dream. There are many things she would not have experienced if she had not come here, and she thinks that she understands what Merlin meant earlier. Merlin had told her that to her Virch is like a warm-hearted angel and benefactor altogether, stating that it would become such a place for her too. Merlin said that she lost her ordinary life when she was kidnapped by an assassination organization before coming here. If Virch had not eliminated that assassination group, she would have continued to live a harsh life. Merlin had told her that she would come to like this life too, and the ordinary days spent here. She thinks about it, realizing that Merlin was content with the simple, ordinary life. However, in her previous life, the Merlin she knew was a person filled with enough rage to even kill royalty. Thinking what could have caused such a change. If she could just find out the reason, she could prevent it from happening. something so significant that it drives the people of Verge family to lose their sanity. She hears a loud sound. She stands up and goes towards the window. She is sure that she did not mishear. She looks outside of the window and thinks that she needs to find out what that song is. She goes outside as one of the person notices her, questioning what brings her out here. It is a night, as she tells him that she could not sleep, so she thought she should take a walk. He responds that in that case, he will accompany her. She does it with this oak as he has to guard this place. He tells her there are many invisible guards, so this is fine. Moreover, she is not yet familiar with the estate, so he cannot let her go alone. She thanks him in that case. As they both are walking together, she ponders that she's sure the sound came from around here. She hears it again and turns around, realizing it came from in there. She begins to go towards that place before he asks her that she must not go too far. She does not listen to him as he continues to call out to her. She goes towards the door and decides to knock it before someone calls her name. It is the Duke. As they both are walking together, she wonders if there was such a small palace behind the main building. She wonders what was the Duke doing here? She notices him staring at her. He tells her that she has a very curious expression on her face and asks her if she wishes to know why he is here. She questions if she asks him that directly, will he answer her? He tells her that instead of giving her an answer, he can give her something else. He takes something out of his pocket and tells her she can have this. She asks him, what is this? He mentions that he cannot explain this with just words, but this is called candy. He mentions that it is a sweet snack like the chocolate she had earlier today, and if she doesn't mind, he questions if she would like to try it. She decides to take it. She thanks him. He wishes for her to enjoy it. He did ask her why was she outside at this time. She wonders if she can really tell him the truth, but she knows that Marilyn said she could not hear the sound of crying, so there's a chance that the Duke will say he did not hear it either. But it would not be a bad idea to take a quick look into it with the two. She tells him that she cannot just sleep. She asks him if his lordship had a ceremony at that mansion earlier. He tells her yes. Her eyes are stuck on him as he mentions. Even if she stares like that, there's not much they can discuss. He points to summon one of the guards. As the guards appear, he tells him that it is very late, so he should escort the lady to her room. The guards take her as he wishes her good night. She wonders if he is deliberately trying to keep her away from here. She wonders what he might be hiding in that mansion. A new day begins. As she is sitting outside, Merlin hopes that she won't go for walks late at night from now on, as the Lord scolded her a moment ago. She responds that she understands. Someone then calls out to her, as it is Michael. Michael states that he is told she often come here most of the time. He tells her that it seems like she really likes this garden. She tells him yes, she enjoys coming here as it is spacious and beautiful. He is glad that she likes this place. He notices the candy on her hand and asks her what kind of candy is this. She tells him that his Duke gave it to her when she met him last night when she went for a walk. He mentions that he thinks he intended to give it to her from the start, because in Virgin no one wants to eat candy except her. She seems confused as she asks him what does he mean and why is that. He tells her that his grandfather liked candy, even though he was not the type to eat sweets. He always had them with him. She then realizes that, come to think of it, the only direct descendants of she has met so far are Michael and Carmen. At this point, it is likely that Michael's grandfather, Aaron Verge, is still alive. It has never been mentioned to the servants, nor has it ever been revealed at the mansion. Michael asks her if she's okay, as he notices that her expression suddenly changed. She opens up to him about hearing a strange noise yesterday. He asks her about the strange noise. She tells him that it sounded like someone was crying, and it seems to have come from the small mansion behind the main building. He remains quiet as she calls out to him. He stands up and tells her that they will go now. She questions where it is supposed to go. He questions if she's curious about what is inside that small mansion, stating that he will take her there. Merlin tells him that is not possible, mentioning that is very dangerous and she's afraid that he might get hurt. Michael thanks Merlin for her concern, stating that it saddens him that she cannot trust him. She apologizes to him, telling him that was a foolish act on her part. He tells her to not worry as he will make sure Merlin does not have anything to be concerned about. He asks Ryard if they should go now as he holds her hand. As they both stand in front of the building, he takes the key out and wishes that she would not be too surprised. He opens the door and he asks her to promise him that if anything happens inside, she will hide behind him no matter what. She finds it very cold inside. She wonders what is inside as she shivers. Michael places his hand on her shoulder and tells her there is nothing to be afraid of as he is here. She tells him yes and thanks him. Right then they both hear a voice. She notices a man tied up. Michael tells her to say hello to that person, as this is his grandfather. She was shocked to know this person is the former head of the Verch family. She wonders, how did he end up like this? Michael responds that it is madness. A few years ago, he was definitely healthy. They did not know why he became like this or how he can be cured. Normally, they would have killed him as soon as the madness appeared, but his father ordered them to just confine him. She takes a better look at him, noticing bloody sure eyes, fangs that have grown like an animal. She then thinks of these symptoms as in the first world initiated by the Verch family, although the Imperial family and Elheim, who received the declaration of war, were relaxed once the war began. They were brutally defeated by the Verch family. The one many feared during the war was Michael, who was called the demon of the battlefield, the Grim Reaper. When everyone was terrified, knowing there was no way to stop him, the Crown Prince spoke, questioning how about using this border? Anyone who consumes this powder will go mad and rampage. It is a drug that turns people into mad beasts, no longer human. At that time, the Crown Prince failed to use the black powder on Michael Verch, and not long after, it was revealed that an awakened of water could remove the water from the body. In her previous life, the only one who had the black powder was the Crown Prince. The fact that grandfather was exposed to that black powder is surely the Crown Prince's doing. He begins to scream, causing her to be taken aback, but Michael grabs her. The guard asks Michael if he's all right and apologizes for leaving his post for a moment to investigate the noise from outside. Michael tells him that they're all right. He's glad that they're safe. They both think about who quoted me, that she came with Michael. Looking closely at her, Michael tells them that their lingering gaze is unpleasant, so they should take it away, questioning why should not they treat her first. They both bow down, mentioning it is nice to meet her. One introduces himself as Hans, the other introduces himself as Andra. This state that the two of them have been serving Master Aaron, the grandfather. They mention that he is their benefactor who took in Merlin and them. Even after he became like this, they could not leave his side. Michael asks her if she's okay, mentioning that she does not look well. She tells him it is just that she was a bit startled. She thinks that if the Crown Prince used the black powder on him, then he would have used someone that Aaron trusted the most, being aware that one of these two is likely a spy. Meanwhile, the Crown Prince states that of all things, it had to be an awakened one, finding it troublesome. He thinks that if he had known, he would have brought them over to the Imperial site earlier instead of them going to the Verch side. He went as far as to mess with Michael Verch's eyes by destroying an entire city. He is informed that a visitor has come to see him. He questions what foolish dares to come see him without an appointment. The person steps in, stating that calling him a fool is quite harsh. The Crown Prince becomes shocked seeing the visitor. It is Carmen, as he greets His Highness. The Crown Prince tells him that it seems like he has finally lost his mind, questioning if he got a water awakener, and now he thinks he is invisible. The Duke asks His Highness if he has gone mad over not being able to get a single water awakener. The Crown Prince tells him that he will not tolerate any more insolence. The Duke states that if you keep sending that trashy letter demanding that child, he will no longer be patient either. The Duke shows the Crown Prince the hand of the person who wrote the letters, mentioning that next time it won't end with just crushing the hand of the one who sent the letter. He tells the Crown Prince to not force him to do something worse. The Crown Prince becomes angry, questioning if he is threatening him right now. The Duke Carmen questions, how could he dare to threaten His Highness? He is simply making a request. He tells His Highness that he hopes there will be no more letters sent to the Verch household from now on. He then leaves as the Crown Prince stays there. The Crown Prince calls out to the Count, stating that it seems like they need to teach that arrogant fellow a lesson, referring to Duke Carmen. He orders to transfuse his blood to Aaron Verch. Meanwhile, Merlin is clinging as Rhaerid is lost in thoughts. She thinks that Hans and Ander, whom she met yesterday, told her that they were all taken in by the Great Master, so it is only right that they stay by the Great Master's side until the end. She's aware that the grandfather would never have inhaled the black powder willingly. A person who could stay by his side without arousing any suspicion. That is the culprit, which is one of the three. Merlin calls out to her, telling her that since she returned from the small mansion yesterday, she has not looked well. She asks her if she had something on her mind. Rhaerid responds that there is nothing. Merlin states that if there's anything she can do to help, then let her know. She thinks about it and asks Merlin if she can meet with the Duke Carmen right now. Meanwhile, his Duke goes to meet Aaron. He has a gun pointed towards him as he tells him that today he must kill him and return, as he has put it off for far too long. However, he still cannot forget the face of his father when he was sane. He begins to tremble and realize this. It seems today is not the day, Someone steps in as he mentions today a little guest has come to visit. She goes to the Duke. She tells him that Merlin said she should not come in here, but she had something important to say, so she entered despite that. He tells her that Merlin must have had quite a hard time. As Merlin said, when he is in here, he does not let anyone in. He even sent Hans, and Andrew, who usually guards this place, away. She apologizes to him, but mentions that she had to tell him before it was too late. She tells him that she can cure this madness. He becomes shocked and asks her about it. She questions if he can trust her. He seems a bit hesitant before he states that he does trust their benefactor. She smiles and thanks, and she goes near the grandfather. He tells her it is too dangerous to cut too close, but she tells him it is okay. She uses her power, mentioning that there won't be any danger. She ponders that before returning, Elheim found out how to detoxify the black powder. If he forcibly breathes in the strong energy of the Water Awakener, his maniac will slowly be cured. He breathes in and loses conscious. She mentions that she added the energy of water, so he will be okay for today. The Duke is shocked as he questions if it was really curable. He finds it amazing and asks her if she could explain how it happened. She tells him that these symptoms are symptoms of black powder poisoning. He asks about black powder as she mentions that if an ordinary person is poisoned by this border, he or she goes crazy and dies within a few hours. She knew a few of the awakened people lose their reason and turned into beasts. He asks her how does she know that. She tells him that she once read it in an ancient book, and only a strong Water Awakener can detoxify the black powder. She tells him that she will do her best to heal the former lord. He asks her if that means that they should let him get killed until then. But she tells him yes, and asks him to please keep this a secret from the others. He is shocked before he smiles, mentioning that she noticed it too. He tells her that among Andra, Hans, and Merlin, one of them is the one who poisoned his father. She tells him that is right, but she cannot specify who it is yet. And if a spy finds out, he could be in trouble. He mentions all right, they should do it like that. He tells her that she's the one who knows more about mania than him, so he will follow her will entirely. She thanks the dude, but he mentions that he cannot always be with her when she heals, and he cannot let her come here alone, so he will provide her with a trustworthy escort. The next day, she steps down as it is Michael who extends his hand towards her and asks her to carefully step down. She questions so he is the escort knight assigned by the Duke. He responds that something dangerous might happen, so he will watch over her and be by her side. As she goes to him, she asks Michael to stay back a little. He seems hesitant, but she tells him that she would be fine, and he should not worry. She steps towards Aaron. She takes something out. She puts it in his mouth and begins to use her power. He asks her how did she come up with this method. She tells him that he said that. The grandma likes candy. She knows that even if he is mentally unconscious due to mania, she thought his original instinct would remain. She knows that it seems like he becomes calmer while eating candy, that in the meantime she will heal him. She wishes for him to please just hold a little longer. Yumei stares at her and calls out to her. He mentions that she is already his benefactor. Even if she no longer helped them, they will protect and treat her. So why is she doing this? She tells him that it is the former head of the family and he is a precious person to the people of Virtue. She wants to protect everyone's heart. This causes him to be stunned, as she knows this is all she could do today. She tells him it will probably take another week or so to purify all the black powder, and before that they have to find the one who fed black powder to the head of the family. It is during the day as she wonders how did the previous head of the family get addicted to the black powder. She is aware that there are various ways to use black powder, and if one wants to use it secretly for a long time. She thinks if she should go to the previous family head's room to find the evidence. She wonders if there is a way to get inside before someone asks her where is she going. She turns around to find Michael. She asks him where did he suddenly come from. He tells her that he saw her passing by from the Rose Tower, so he came down quickly. He looked at her and jumped from the higher place just so he could talk to her. He asks her if she was taking a walk. She tells him yes, as she had something to think about and there's a place that she wants to visit. He asks about it. She tells him that she wants to find evidence about the madness, so she wants to go inside the previous family head's room. She questions if she can go in there. He places his hand on her face, telling her that of course she can, as there's no place in this mansion she cannot go to. She can go anywhere and do anything. She smiles and thanks him. As they both stand in front of his grandfather's room. They step in and he tells her to feel free to look around until her curiosity is satisfied and she can look around as much as she wants. He tells her that his grandfather started going mad about a year ago, and in that case he would not have used his room for a long time. Stating that the room is quite clean, she questions if anything has changed in this room since then. He responds not really. She notices some books and wonders if this is an ancient book. She knows that is something one cannot even see in Elheim. She asks him if she can borrow this book. It is a book she always wanted to read. He tells us of course she can, but she is unable to reach it. He smiles and helps her. She turns to find him really close to her. He asks her why is her expression like that. She questions what about her expression. He mentions that her face is slightly red, or he questions if it is just his imagination. He steps more closer to her before she hugs him. He begins to blush and asks her why suddenly. She tells him she just wanted to do something because she likes him. He begins to get stunned as she asks him if that is weird. He responds that it is not weird at all. He extends his hand towards her, questioning that if she wanted to do something, then how about they do this? He places his hand on her face and kisses her. The guard, noticing this, becomes awkward, apologizes. He asks them to not mind him and continue. They both become awkward, realizing that Andrew was here. Michael deep down ponders that Andrew is dead. She questions why did Andrew come here instead of merely He tells her that this room is cleaned alternatively by Merlin, Andrew, and Hans. She thinks about it before she notices some candies and asks him what is that. He tells her dose or candy stand the grandfather liked, and even though father told him not to eat them because they are bad for his health, he would collect them like this and eat several a day. She notices them and opens them. She knows that if the previous had like sweats and ate these candies several times a day, then using this method without any suspicions he could have been addicted to the black powder. She calls out to Michael and states that she needs to go to meet the previous head of the family.